Chapter 3519. Who would have thought that Charlie would break all of Harmon's meridians at the same time as he broke his arms? To be able to easily break all of Harmon's meridians and destroy all of his cultivation without making a sound, was simply a crushing difference between a human and a mole. At this moment, everyone in the cataclysmic front was in despair. The people around Charlie, on the other hand, could not wait to cheer. As for Changfeng, who was draped in mourning, his whole body had collapsed, and his hands and feet were involuntarily shivering. He really did not expect that the Wade family had such a powerful existence. The cataclysmic front that he relied on, the cataclysmic front that he thought could absolutely crush Charlie completely, was not a match for him at all. He suddenly thought that his two granddaughters, as well as his eldest daughter-in-law, had run to help Charlie, and his heart thumped. Could it be that this Charlie is the top expert who has been secretly targeting me? Quote. Thinking of this, Changfeng's heart, more desperate to the extreme. And at this time, Charlie looked at Harmon, who had completely collapsed, and asked with a smile, "What? The titled White Tiger King, how come you've conceded so quickly?" Quote. In order to live, Harmon lost all his expert demeanor. He took the initiative to kneel on the ground and begged bitterly with tears in his voice. "Mr. Wade, my arms are completely ruined, my meridians are also broken, now I'm a complete invalid, please give me a hand, leave me a dog's life." Quote. Harmon, who had broken down to the point of kneeling down and begging for mercy, made Joseph's heart turn to ashes, and also made the other members of the front shocked beyond belief. Although Harmon was indignant beyond measure, he still wanted to live in his bones, and even if there was only a glimmer of hope for life, he was unwilling to give up. Because he knew Charlie's strength, if he really wanted to kill him, it was as simple as moving his finger. Harmon howled, his arms were twisted into a wretched mess, he could only use the strength of his waist and back to bow and kowtow, while kowtowing, while crying and begging, "Mr. Wade, I was wrong, I shouldn't have spoken out against you, much less provoked your majesty. But I don't want to die. I really don't want to die. Please, for the sake of I have become this useless, please be merciful, spare my life." Charlie looked at him coldly, his voice steeply raised a few points, sternly questioned, "You just dared to be reckless in front of my parents' spirit, do you really think I can spare your dog's life if you kneel on the ground and kowtow to beg for mercy?" Quote. Harmon cried out, "I know I'm wrong, I really know I'm wrong." Charlie gave a fierce slap over, coldly said, "Now you know you are wrong. When you attacked the Wade family yesterday with a cigar in your mouth, weren't you very arrogant? Didn't you say you would be the first to kill me?" Quote. Saying that, Charlie's eyes flashed and said coldly, "Right, don't you love smoking cigars? Then I'll come and make you a cigar, so you can smoke it properly." Quote. After saying that, Charlie looked at Orville and said offhandedly, "Orville, go get some yellow paper for the graves. Get some more." Quote. "Yes, Master Wade." Orville hurriedly took out several bundles of yellow paper to be burned at the grave from the pile of ancestor worship materials prepared by the Wade family. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel Salvament Family for new updates. Chapter 3520. Charlie brought a thick bundle, forcefully rolled it into the shape of a paper roll as thick as a mineral water bottle, and then directly stuffed one of them into Harmon's mouth and said to Orville, "Come, Orville, serve this white-clothed Tiger King to smoke a big cigar that I personally made for him." Quote. Orville smiled heatedly and immediately took out a lighter and lit the other end of the paper roll. While lighting it, he sneered, "Mr. Tiger King, you are really FCU King lucky to be able to smoke a cigar made by Master himself, I guess you are the only one in the world." Quote. When he saw that the paper roll was thicker, he couldn't light it, so he slapped Harmon in the face and said, "Damn it, why don't you smoke it? If you don't smoke, how the FCUK can I light it?" Quote. Harmon's mouth was stuffed with this paper roll, his heart was filled with shame and anger, but he could only obey and desperately smoke. But the smoke produced by the burning of this yellow paper could not be compared with the flavorful Cuban cigar, and after the first puff, Harmon was choked by the smoke and coughed, and tears and snot gushed out at the same time. Charlie glared at him and sneered, "Why did you lose your style of holding a cigar, spouting clouds, and talking in front of me yesterday?" Quote. Harmon thought of his arrogant appearance yesterday and couldn't help but shiver. Charlie looked at his frightened look and continued, "Don't forget, you also killed one of my family's guards with cigar smoke. Even if it's just one life for one life, I'll kill you today." Quote. Speaking of this, Charlie gave a slight beating and continued, "Don't you want to live? First finish smoking this big cigar, after that, I'll consider whether to spare your life, but if you can't finish, sorry, you're the first one to die today." Quote. Hearing this, Harmon was desperate and wanted to do everything possible to survive. So, he could only desperately try hard to smoke the thick roll of yellow paper. The whole person was choked by the smoke, almost collapsed. However, he did not dare to slow down, and could only do his best to inhale the smoke into his body. They all knew that Harmon loved Cuban cigars, but who would have thought that he would end up in this situation today? When he finally finished the roll of yellow paper, his whole body was about to collapse and die. And when it burned to the end, the yellow paper with fire, directly to his lips and around the mouth, burning a bunch of prairie blisters. Finally survived Harmon, coyly looked at Charlie, softly asked, "Wait, mister. Wait, I have all finished smoking, can spare my life." Quote. Charlie sneered, "Of course not. You want to live, definitely not so simple. Everything depends on my mood." Quote. Harmon completely collapsed, so he turned his head, like a child with tears streaming down his face, looking at Joseph, choking and begging, "Supreme Commander, save me, Supreme Commander." Joseph's heart at this time, also full of despair. Never dreamed that today on the Waiteresque Mountain will be such a situation. He looked at Harmon's painful and desperate appearance, and then associated with Charlie's incomparably powerful strength, his heart was already dead ash. He knew that his revenge was completely hopeless. So, he swallowed and spoke with a respectful tone and a hoarse voice, "Charlie, please let him go. If you let him go, we, the Cataclysmic Front, will immediately withdraw, and in this life and in this world, will no longer oppose the Waite family." Quote. As if he had heard a big joke, Charlie laughed. "Joseph won. Do you think that my Waite family's ancestral tomb is a place where you can come and go whenever you want?" Quote. Joseph gritted his teeth and asked him, "Then what do you want?" Quote. Charlie sneered, "What I want is to treat others the way they want to be treated." Quote. Joseph asked nervously, "What do you mean?" Quote. Charlie looked at the two coffins behind him and laughed, "Didn't you threaten to bruise my parents to death? It just so happens that your parents' coffins are right here, so work hard to experience your good idea." Quote.